You are sitting alone, the house is quiet, and then you feel it. Those eyes, soft and steady, fixed on you like you're the only thing in the world that matters. Most people smile and look away, but what if I told you that stare carries messages you've been missing your whole life? Messages about love, about pain, about trust, and sometimes about goodbye. Your dog stares at you every single day. Maybe while you eat breakfast, maybe when you're reading, maybe in those quiet moments when you think nobody's watching. We brush it off, we think it's cute, we snap a photo and move on. But here's what most dog owners never realize. Your dog doesn't do anything without reason. And that stare, it's not just looking, it's speaking, in the only language they have, the language of eyes. Today we're going to decode 9 reasons your dog stares at you. Some will make your heart swell, others might save their life, and one might change how you see the bond between you forever. But here's the fascinating part. Not every stare means the same thing. Let's start with the most beautiful truth. The one that explains why coming home to your dog feels different than coming home to an empty house. Sometimes your dog stares at you because they love you, not the loud jumping tail wagging kind of love. This is quieter, deeper, the kind that doesn't need noise to prove itself. Scientists at Azabu University in Japan discovered something that will give you chills. When your dog locks eyes with you, both of your bodies release oxytocin. You know what oxytocin is? It's the same hormone that floods a mother's body when she holds her newborn baby for the first time. It's the chemical of bonding, of trust, of you are my person and I am yours. But here's what makes this even more incredible. This doesn't happen between dogs and strangers. It doesn't happen between wolves and their handlers. It only happens between dogs and the humans they've chosen to love. Your dog's stare literally changes your brain chemistry, and your stare changes theirs. Think about what that means. Every time you lock eyes with your dog, you're both releasing the exact same chemical that connects mothers to babies. You're not just pet and owner, you're family, biologically, chemically, undeniably. Picture this moment with me. You're sitting with your morning coffee. The light is soft through the kitchen window. Your dog walks over slowly, rests their chin near your knee, and just looks up. No tail wag, no whine, no request, just eyes, calm, patient, full of something you can't quite name but absolutely feel. They're not asking for anything, they're just being with you. In that moment, they're choosing you all over again, the way they choose you every single day. For people who live alone, especially those of us in our golden years, that gaze becomes more than affection. It becomes oxygen. It's companionship. When the house feels too big, it's the warm reminder that echoes through the silence. You are not alone in this house. You are not invisible. You matter to someone. Your dog doesn't need words. They just look. And in that moment, they say everything. But, and I need you to hear this clearly, not every long stare means love. Sometimes those eyes that once felt warm begin to feel different. Longer, harder, less relaxed, more urgent. That's when you need to ask yourself, is my dog watching me with love? Or is there something more they're trying to say? Because the difference between the two could mean everything. Let's find out what that difference looks like. You've probably felt this before, even if you never put words to it. Even if you told yourself you were imagining things. You sit down after a hard day. Maybe you got bad news. Maybe you're just tired of being tired. You don't cry. You don't speak. You don't call anyone. But somehow your dog knows. And then they just sit there, close to you, and stare. Dogs are emotional mirrors. Not metaphorically. Literally. Research from the University of Lincoln shows they read our body language with stunning accuracy. They notice micro-expressions on our faces, the tiny movements around your eyes and mouth that you don't even know you're making. They can even sense changes in our heart rate and breathing patterns. When your shoulders drop a certain way, they notice. When your voice shifts half an octave, they hear it. When your steps are heavier than usual, they feel it. They recognize sadness long before we admit it to ourselves. And sometimes that stare isn't about them at all. They're watching your silence, listening to your stillness, reflecting back what you won't say out loud. Think about the last time you felt truly alone. Not alone in a house, alone in your life. Like nobody really sees you anymore. Maybe your kids moved away. Maybe you lost someone who understood you. Maybe you're just tired of pretending everything's fine when it's not. For someone living alone, those eyes can feel like the only ones that truly see you. When you're strong for everyone else but broken inside, your dog notices, and they stare as if asking, do you want me to stay a little longer? Because I will. I'll stay as long as you need. You might call it coincidence. You might say I'm being too emotional. But for them, it's instinct. You are their person, their whole world, and they'll watch you until they feel you're okay again. Here's what this looks like in real life. Picture this. You sit down in your chair, the one you always sit in. You're exhausted, but not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. the kind that lives in your bones. You think nobody sees it, nobody knows, but they do. They lay nearby, eyes fixed on you, waiting, not moving, not blinking, not looking away even when you look back, just being with you in the only way they know how. It's one of the purest forms of love on earth, the kind that asks for nothing, the kind that just stays. But here's where things shift, and you need to pay attention now. What if that stare doesn't go away? What if it's longer than usual, harder to explain, and carries a question you haven't answered yet? Because sometimes your dog isn't just reading you, sometimes they're waiting for you to read them. And if you miss that signal, you might miss something they desperately need you to understand. Not every stare is emotional, sometimes it's beautifully, wonderfully practical. And when you understand it, the whole relationship becomes clearer. Your dog may be looking at you because they need something, and you're the only one in the world who can help them get it. Over thousands of years, dogs learned that humans respond to eye contact. We're one of the only species that uses gaze as communication, and dogs, brilliant creatures that they are, figured this out. Studies show they use eye contact intentionally, not randomly, not accidentally, intentionally. They use it to ask, to point, to guide, to request. When words don't work, they use their eyes. You've seen it 100 times, the stare that comes right before walk time, the way they look at you, then at the leash, then back at you, or the look that shifts from your face to the empty food bowl and back to your face again. That's not manipulation. That's not being spoiled. That's communication. That's them saying, I can't open doors, I can't fill bowls, but you can, and I trust you. And here's what makes it so touching. It's built on trust. They believe you'll understand. They believe you care enough to try, so they look, and they wait. For those of us who spend most of our time at home, that little exchange becomes a language all its own. No barking, no jumping, no scratching at doors, just a gaze. Simple, silent, respectful, honest. Picture this. You're reading the newspaper. The crossword puzzle is giving you trouble. Your dog walks in, sits quietly in front of you, and stares, not at the paper, at you. Then they glance toward the door, then back to you. No sound, no urgency, just a look. Like saying, when you're ready, can we go? It's one of the most respectful ways any creature could ask for something. They're not demanding. They're not manipulating. They're asking, with patience, with trust. And when you finally stand up and reach for the leash, watch their face. Watch how their whole body lights up. Not because they got what they wanted, but because you understood. Because the communication worked. Because the bond between you was strong enough to cross the language barrier. That's magic. Real magic. But, and here's where you need to stay with me, sometimes they stare and don't look away. They don't point to the door. They don't shift their gaze to the food bowl. They don't move at all. They just fix on you. That's when the question changes. Because maybe it's not about going outside. Maybe it's not about dinner. Maybe it's not about a walk or a treat or anything that simple. Maybe it's something deeper, something harder to name, something that requires you to look closer. And if you don't recognize it in time, you might miss something your dog truly desperately needs you to see. This one is hard, but it's important, because missing this stare could mean missing your chance to help them when they need you most. Sometimes that stare isn't love, it isn't need, it's pain. But your dog has no words, no way to say it hurts, or something's wrong, or I'm scared, only eyes. Research from veterinary behaviorists shows that dogs in discomfort often stare at their owners more frequently and for longer periods, not because they expect you to magically fix it, but because you're their safe place. You're the one they run to when they're scared, the one they look for when the world feels wrong. They look to you when they hurt, because they don't know what else to do, and because deep down, they believe you'll make it better, even if you can't, even if all you can do is be there. That kind of trust is overwhelming when you really think about it. It might be subtle at first. They sit very still, their body is quiet, almost frozen, but their eyes stay on you longer than usual, more intensely, like they're trying to ask for something they can't name. Like they're saying, something's not right, I don't know what, but I need you to know. And if you're over 60, you might understand this kind of silence better than most. Sometimes pain is quiet, sometimes it whispers instead of screams, and sometimes love makes us hide it, even from the people who care most, because we don't want to be a burden, we don't want to worry anyone. Your dog feels the same way. They might be limping slightly, eating a little less, moving a little slower, but the stare, that's often the first clue, the earliest warning sign, the moment they're telling you, I'm not okay, but I'm trying to be brave. Picture this. You notice your dog watching you from the hallway, not moving toward you, not walking away, just watching. You call their name softly, no tail wag, no excited response, no steps forward, just eyes, still, steady, tired in a way you haven't seen before. They're not trying to alarm you, they're not trying to make a scene, they're trying to hold on, and they don't want to do it alone. The hardest part, we often mistake that gaze for peace, for restfulness, for contentment. We think, oh, they're just relaxed, just tired, just getting older, but behind those eyes could be arthritis,
that makes every step hurt, an infection that's spreading, a tumor that's growing, something worse that's stealing their comfort day by day. If the stare feels longer than it used to, if it feels heavier, like there's weight behind it, it might be time to listen with more than your ears. Touch them gently, check for tender spots, watch how they move when they don't think you're looking, and if something feels off, don't wait, don't wonder, don't tell yourself it's probably nothing, because to them, you're everything, and they're trusting you to notice what they can't say. If you've ever ignored a stare like this, if you've ever brushed it off, and later regretted it, don't beat yourself up, but don't ignore the next one either. Your dog is counting on you to notice what they can't say, and they deserve someone who pays attention. And speaking of things they can't say, the next kind of stare is one of the most heartbreaking, because it doesn't just come from pain in the body, it comes from confusion in the mind, from a dimming light that once burned so bright. With age comes change, in people, in dogs, in the rhythm of daily life. But unlike us, they can't tell us when something inside starts to slip away, when familiar things become strange, when home stops feeling like home. So they stare. Veterinarians and animal behaviorists see it more often than they wish they did. Older dogs, beloved companions who've been sharp and present for years, who suddenly pause mid-step and gaze into space, eyes wide, unfocused, distant, like they've forgotten where they are, or why they were moving, or who you are standing right in front of them. This isn't daydreaming, this isn't them being lazy or stubborn. This could be early signs of canine cognitive dysfunction, what we call dementia in dogs. Confusion, anxiety, silent frustration, all hidden behind a long empty stare. The veterinary journal Frontiers in Veterinary Science published findings showing that nearly 60% of dogs over the age of 11 show at least one sign of cognitive decline. That's more than half. And one of the earliest, most overlooked signs, staring, at walls, at nothing, at you, but not really seeing you. You might think, oh, they're just getting old, that's what happens. And maybe you're right, maybe it is just age, but that look, that vacant searching stare, that's your cue. It says I'm not sure what's happening anymore. Things that used to make sense don't, but I trust you'll keep me safe. For anyone who's cared for an aging parent, who's watched someone you love struggle to remember what they had for breakfast, or where they put their keys, or sometimes even who you are, you know that look, the slight fear beneath the surface, the flicker of being lost inside a place that once felt like home. The frustration of knowing something's wrong, but not being able to fix it, and now that same stare lives in the eyes of your best friend. Picture this, it's late evening, the house is settling into quiet, you're cleaning up the kitchen, putting dishes away, you turn around, and your old dog is standing in the hallway, facing the wrong direction, eyes fixed on the wall, not the door, not a window, just wall. You call their name, once, twice, they blink slowly, then wander off, like nothing happened, like they don't remember the last 30 seconds. Your heart sinks a little, but you tell yourself it's fine, they're just old, it's normal. But is it? Don't ignore that moment, don't write it off as just old age, and move on with your evening, because even if it is age-related cognitive decline, they still need help, they need routine, they need patience, they need you to understand that their world is getting smaller and scarier, and you're the one constant they still recognize. The look of confusion can so easily turn into the look of fear, and no dog should have to feel that alone, especially not the dog who spent their whole life making sure you never felt alone. There are things you can do, mental stimulation games, dietary supplements, medications that slow the progression, but you have to notice first. You have to see the stare for what it is. Before you scroll past this video, ask yourself, when's the last time you really watched your senior dog? Not just glanced at them, not just patted their head as you walk by. Really watched, really noticed. Because the next kind of stare we're going to talk about isn't about your dog being confused. It's about them sensing something in you, something you might not even know is happening yet. Not every stare is about them. Sometimes, and this might be the most profound thing you hear today, sometimes it's about you, and sometimes it could save your life. There are dogs specifically trained to detect seizures before they happen, to alert their owners when blood sugar drops dangerously low, to sense oncoming heart issues or strokes minutes before human medicine catches up. But here's what most people don't know. Even untrained dogs, especially those deeply bonded to you, can notice changes before you do, before doctors do, before anyone does. They smell it. Chemical changes in your sweat, your breath, they sense it. Electrical changes in your body, your heart rhythm. They feel the shift in your energy, your breathing, your presence. And they tell you, the only way they know how, by staring. It's not panic, it's not fear, it's pure, undiluted instinct. They look at you because something feels wrong, and they care too much to ignore it. A study published in Applied Animal Behavior Science documented cases of untrained dogs alerting their owners to medical emergencies an average of 15 minutes before symptoms became obvious. 15 minutes. That's enough time to call for help, to sit down before you fall, to take medication, to survive. For many older adults, this moment gets overlooked because certain symptoms become part of daily life. Fatigue is common, dizziness comes and goes. You think, I'm fine, just tired, just need to rest. But your dog, they notice the difference between routine tired and something's not right, between normal dizziness and your body's in trouble. Picture this, you're sitting in your favorite chair, reading or watching television. You feel fine, maybe just a little lightheaded, but nothing unusual, nothing worth worrying about. Your dog walks over, stands perfectly still directly in front of you, and stares. No bark, no paw on your leg, just eyes, unmoving, focused, unblinking, intense in a way that makes you uncomfortable. You say, what do you want? But they don't move, they won't stop watching, because they're waiting for you to respond, waiting for a sign that you're okay, waiting to see if you'll acknowledge what they already know. Something is different, something is wrong. Sometimes they'll lick your hand insistently, sometimes they'll whine or bark, breaking their usual quiet. Sometimes they'll gently push against you, as if trying to keep you grounded, and sometimes they'll just stare, hoping you'll feel it too, hoping you'll trust them the way they trust you. These aren't just clever dogs, they're protectors, guardians, angels in fur, who would do anything to keep you safe. And for some people, for people just like you, watching this video right now, this kind of silent signal has meant the difference between danger and being saved in time, between collapsing alone and having help on the way, between a close call and a tragedy. If your dog stares at you differently than usual, with intensity, with focus, with urgency that doesn't match the moment, don't dismiss it. Check in with yourself. How do you really feel? And if something feels even slightly off, call someone. Check your blood sugar. If you're diabetic, take your blood pressure if you have a monitor. And if needed, don't hesitate to call a doctor or 911. Your dog is trying to tell you something. Listen, but now here's the twist. Because sometimes that intense stare isn't a warning about your health. Sometimes it's not about danger at all. Sometimes it's about something far more calculated, far more clever. Sometimes they're training you. Yes, let's be honest about this. Sometimes it's not you training your dog, it's them training you. And it's their favorite, most effective tool. Over time, over years of living together, learning each other, figuring out how this whole relationship works. Dogs learn what works. They figure out, with impressive precision, that looking at you with soft eyes, and maybe a slight head tilt, gets them exactly what they want. A treat, a spot on the couch, a second dinner, an extra walk, permission to sleep in your bed. Research from the University of Portsmouth confirms it. Dogs deliberately use facial expressions to communicate with humans, not with other dogs, with humans. They've evolved specifically to manipulate, and yes, that's the word scientists use, to manipulate our emotions through eye contact and facial expressions. They're skilled observers, better than you might think. They notice cause and effect with impressive precision. They stare. You respond, even just once, and they remember. They file it away. They'll try it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. You might laugh and call it puppy eyes, or the look, but it's smarter than you think. That gaze is a strategy, a silent request, wrapped in irresistible charm, a calculated move that works on humans about 90% of the time, and for many of us, especially those living alone, it's genuinely hard to say no. Those eyes feel good, they make us feel needed, they remind us we matter to someone, they give us purpose, in a world that sometimes makes us feel invisible, or unnecessary. There's no shame in that, not at all. Picture this, it's late, you're on the couch with a snack, something you probably shouldn't be eating, but it's been a long day, and you're allowed small pleasures. You glance over, and there they are, sitting perfectly still, staring, eyes wide and glistening in the lamplight, head tilted just slightly, just enough sparkle to melt your heart. You say no, you already ate dinner, but the stare continues, unwavering, patient, full of hope, and something that looks